Petty Revenge, Christmas pettiness that kept on giving. This story is about my mom and the absolute depths of pettiness she could sink to. Growing up, we could never put lights on our Christmas tree. My parents would always say it was a fire hazard and would recount a story about one of their Christmases together where their tree caught fire. Apparently, my dad had fallen asleep on the couch and was woken up to the kitchen and the living room filled with smoke. He woke up my mom and got her and the dog out of the house, then ran back inside to check things out. He came out a few minutes later with the tree wrapped in a blanket and threw it into the snowbank, saying it had caught fire. Ever since, they had a no lights on the tree rule to prevent a repeat occurrence. So my whole life, we never put lights on the tree, despite nearly everyone else we knew, including both sets of grandparents, putting lights on their trees. I'd occasionally question my parents about it and would always get the same fire hazard story. My mom did go to some lengths to make up for it, though, with lots of colorful glass balls that would catch the light, as well as other reflective ornaments. Anyways, years pass and I'm now an adult. One year, I'm taking my mom and the tree fire story comes up. She chuckles and asks if I'd like to hear the real story. Turns out, that night, many years ago, the tree did not catch fire. What actually happened was my dad decided to fix himself something on the stove late at night. He fell asleep on the couch with the pan still on the hot burner and eventually began to smoke, waking him up. After he got my mom out of the house and realized what caused the smoke, rather than take the tongue lashing about the ruined pan and irresponsible stove use, he decided to pin the blame on the tree. A few theatrics later, and he'd think he's gotten away with it. He even brought the burnt tree back inside the next day, saying it must not have burnt much because it still looked alright. He might have pulled it off had he done more than just thrown the ruined pan into the kitchen trash can. My mom found it in the trash the very next day and put two and two together pretty quick. She could have nailed him to the wall right then and there, but she decided to play a long game and didn't say a word. See, it turns out she never cared that much about lights on a tree. It was my dad that really liked them. So next year and every year thereafter, when they were decorating the tree and he'd go to put lights on, she'd remind him that they couldn't put lights on the tree because that time it caught fire. I don't think she ever intended for this to be a long-running thing, but my dad was stubborn to a fault and never admitted that it was really the pan. So every year she kept his lie going, knowing he was the one paying for it. She did eventually tell him that she knew the truth some 30 years later. He had developed cancer and it was his last Christmas, so she decided to come clean. She just laughed and laughed about it. She gave him the option to do lights on the tree that year, but by then he'd had more years without a lit tree than with, and had grown to prefer the tree the way we'd always decorated it. Am I the asshole? Am I the a-hole for not giving my aunt my cousin's phone number and telling her she should have been a better mom and accepted him for who he was? Throwaway account, and all names have been changed. I, 26 female, am caught between a rock and a hard place right now. To start things out, my cousin, Angel, 22 male, came out as a transgender when he was 13 and I was 17. I, of course, accepted him with open arms and don't think any less of him for being transgender. He said his parents weren't exactly amused and just tolerated it. When I was in college and would come to visit, they would dead name him and use his old pronouns. And my other cousins would say things like, Angel wants to be a boy and she's still a girl. My aunt and uncle didn't do anything about that, and I could tell it was making Angel upset. 4 years ago, when Angel was 18, he had a big fight with his parents after he started HRT. They didn't kick him out, but he called me to vent and said he couldn't take it anymore and couldn't wait to move out. I talked to my fiance and we agreed to let Angel stay with us until he could get his own place to live. We called back and offered him the guest room, which he gladly accepted, and he stayed with us until he finished trade school, got a job, and moved in with his partner. He remained low contact with his parents, but still wanted me to stay in touch. Anytime he and his parents spoke, it was through me or my fiance. Fast forward 4 years. I'm 26, Angel's 22, and hasn't spoke to his parents at all in that time. My aunt reached out to me and asked to talk to Angel. He didn't want to talk, so I told her that. She wasn't having it and demanded to talk to her daughter. I stood firm and she asked for at least Angel's phone number, which Angel didn't want, so I told her no. She wasn't backing down, and neither was I until she stopped with me and started pestering my fiance about it, only to get the same results. While she was on the phone with my fiance, I took the phone and told her to stop trying to get to Angel because it wasn't happening. If she wanted to have a relationship with him, she should have been a better mom and accepted him for who he was, with a few choice words thrown into the mix. Our extended family is extremely divided with Angel. My fiance firmly on my side. I'm being crucified by everyone on my aunt's side for how I spoke to her and kept her child from her. But with some of the things they're saying to me and calling me, I'm now feeling a little guilty for causing this rift in the family. So, am I the a-hole? I think absolutely you're not the a-hole because she's just being honest, and, sometimes people just need to be told how it is. I'll read a couple comments. One says, big not the a-hole. This is Angel's decision not to be in contact with his parents. You are truly not only the best cousin, but a good friend for standing up for him, being there for support and giving him a safe place. It's too bad his parents don't understand what unconditional love actually means. You owe them nothing. Pretty much. That's how it is. This post is from Minimum Film 7. Am I the a-hole for confronting my daughter's teacher? My daughter is in 6th grade. A few weeks ago, one of her teachers asked them to create a children's book. My daughter has a very good imagination. She wants to be a writer when she grows up, and she is pretty good at it. Her favorite books are the Goosebumps series. So when her teacher gave them this assignment, she decided to write a book similar to the Goosebumps. I'm not going to say it was perfect because she is just a kid, but it was a decent book, and I was proud of her when I read it. She also found a notebook with a picture of a girl on it and decided to write the story on that notebook and chose the girl to be the main character in her story. Well, a week ago, she came home crying her eyes out. Apparently, the teacher chewed her out when she saw her story. She basically told her that her story is the worst one in the class. I comforted my daughter. However, it has been a week and she hasn't been writing anything. She used to write a lot of stories, but she has lost interest. I was really angry, so I decided to meet the teacher, and I told her she owes my daughter an apology and needs to compliment her book. She said she will not be doing that as my daughter did an awful job. According to my daughter, she should have created a cover instead of using a notebook, and called her lazy for not putting in any effort. And also, according to her, a children's book needs pictures, and my daughter didn't do that. She told me that my daughter got a D in the assignment, and she won't be getting an apology for being lazy. My daughter spent 2 weeks working on that story and its details. She is in no way lazy. I called the teacher a B word and told her she has no right to talk to my child that way and treat her like that. She called me an a-hole and asked me to leave. Yeah, I mean, that got pretty escalating. Um, like, did the teacher give her specific instructions? Was part of the assignment on pictures? I don't know that answer. It seems pretty harsh to me, honestly. And definitely an ego blaster. I don't know what you call it. That sucks. Let's see what some people say. Esh. I keep getting these comments that say esh, and now that I've come across 3 of them, I'm wondering if that actually means something, like an abbreviation, something. I don't know. You should not have called your daughter's teacher a B word. That is uncalled for. However, I agree that your daughter's teacher is terrible. But by calling her a B word, you entirely change the tone of the conflict into one of name calling instead of one of teacher grading improperly. The assignment was about the story, not about the cover or the pictures within. And at your daughter's age, teachers should have just returned the story to her and asked her to do a better job on the cover and add some pictures if she was able to resubmit. This is not for publication. This kind of criticism from teachers can destroy the creative aspirations of a sensitive and artistic child. Teachers in these kind of areas, not math or science, but creative, artistic areas, should be nurturing. Correct mistakes, yes, but do not squash a child's creative potential with belittling criticism. If this is the way the teacher runs her class, she probably should not be working with children. You might want to bring this to the attention of her superiors at the school, but again, calling the teacher a B word complicates this option now. Yeah, exactly what she said. Callie says, what exactly was the assignment? I'd expect for a big project like this, there should have been a clear description of the assignment, maybe even a handout with all of the requirements on it. You should ask about that and see whether your daughter's story actually met the assignment criteria before you talk to the teacher. It sounds like the assignment may have specified making a cover and pictures. If you jump down a teacher's throat before verifying that your daughter actually did the assignment, then you're majorly at fault. If you went at the teacher even though she didn't do the assignment properly, you're in the wrong there too. This post is from Spirited Boy 1. My boyfriend unintentionally canceled his own surprise party. My boyfriend is graduating college this week. He's been pretty sad about it and was very firm that he would not be walking in his ceremony. I felt bad that he wasn't going to walk and seemed kind of down about graduating, so I planned a surprise party / dinner and planned to have it on Friday. He doesn't really have very many friends and is very close to his parents, so I invited them, plus some extended family, to come from out of town and surprise him on Friday. I bought decorations, booze, cake, ordered a bunch of food ahead, and orchestrated this huge lie to get him out of the house on Friday long enough to set everything up and get everyone there. Well, today he randomly decided he was going to walk in his ceremony. That is on Monday. And let his family know. They were planning to stay Friday through Saturday for the surprise party, but now they'd rather go to the ceremony, obviously, and are changing their travel plans to Sunday through Tuesday because they can't stay that many days, which is totally understandable. I know it's not about me, and I'm glad he decided to walk, but after all, but I'm so bummed. Gift giving is my ultimate love language, and I've been so giddy about planning this. Also, I can't get a refund on any of the food or the cake, so it's just a huge waste of money now. And I won't be able to go to a ceremony because it's so last minute and I won't get the time off of work. So it's even more sad. I know it wasn't intentional and it's not about me, but I just needed to vent, y'all. Yeah, I feel you. You know what? Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches. But yeah, I'd be sad too. I feel for you.